So, for those who do not know, Simone Haines is a very, very talented individual who works in many departments when it comes to filmmaking. So, I will let you go ahead and introduce yourself for a few minutes. Please tell us anything you want us to know about yourself.
Okay. Well, I am an actress, a Dallas actress. I live in Dallas, Texas. Um, that's what I am first. I do like to dabble in other job titles and within the film industry, like you said. So I have written and produced two of my own little mini shorts. I've done PA work. Um, I think that's pretty much all I've really done. Just hopping around from different sets around the Dallas, Texas area. Um, yeah, I don't really know what else to say.
No, that's good. Let's talk about your beginning, how you got into filmmaking. Then we'll talk a little about some of the short films that are not mini shorts. I would refer to them as that. They're definitely just shorts, and they're good at that. But yeah, please let us know. So what prompts you to get into filmmaking? You said like you're an actress first. So is that where it started from?
Yeah, so I've always loved storytelling, since I was a little kid. Like, to be honest, some of my first and best work was putting on little different short films with my Barbie dolls. I would pretend like I had this little fake Barbie camera and I would stage everything. So I guess you could say that was my first beginning of like, like, I really want to do, more than just acting within this industry. But when I was acting, I just noticed that I was limited in the roles that I could audition for and play. Like, people were like, oh, where you look this type of way, so you're only good for these roles. And I was like, I can do other roles.
And what is
And
that
so
referring to? What is it like? Is it an age thing? Okay. So
it's
how old are you, Mo?
how old am I? I am actually 24.
Okay.
Everybody, whenever I do film, they always think I'm a teenager, which is fine. I'll be in the industry long, but it was always, like, oh, well, these type of characters that look this type of way, with this type of physique, they usually go for this characters and this and that. And so I was like, okay, well, I really want to do, other roles or play other types. So I was like, why don't I just start like seriously like making my own thing so I can like show people what I can do. And so that's how I created The Closet and Did I Get In? And so The Closet was a thriller. So I want to show people that I can be a thriller actress. And then The Closet was about, two little teenagers, senior year of high school, going into getting accepted into college. And so I was like, okay, I haven't played a nerdy character yet because apparently I don't look smart. But I again decided to play a character that was a bit on the smart side. I wasn't stereotypical with the glasses and suspenders. But smart people come in different shapes, sizes, colors.
They do. And I like that you just said that though. So what happened was you didn't get, or you're not being looked at in a manner that you feel like you have the capacity to perform in. So what happened, you took the control into your own hands and you provided two roles for yourself that were contrast. You played the teenager, which is kind of sort of the typecast that is being pushed upon you. And then you went and you did a horror thriller. And it's like those two may not really merge. So it's really good that you did that to be able to put yourself out there. It's like, I don't know, it's like you almost created the reel for yourself. Like you almost booked yourself for another opportunity. And it's a smart way of thinking.
Exactly.
Anytime they try to put you in the box and you don't exist just within that box, you break out and you're about. So absolutely kudos to you for doing that. I've watched them both. They're absolutely phenomenal. It made her an award winner. So don't let her try to downplay it because she's definitely up there. I think something as simple as The Closet. I don't, maybe you've shared this with me before, but how did that come to be? Because it really truly is something that it's almost like, do you even need a script for that? Like, that's how simple of an idea it is, but it's well executed to the point that it's extremely interesting. So how did that come to be?
So this, yes, I created a script for it. But it was really like, I didn't know, because I didn't want any words in it. And so I was just basically, I just wrote down like what I wanted, Sean, who was the director and cinematographer of it, what I wanted him to do. I just kind of just gave him the vibes of it. You know, I was like, I want it to be a reaction of me reacting to a closet that's like moving and shaking, and we don't ever really see what's in the closet. Maybe a hand, maybe not a hand, because what's in the closet, I was still wrestling with what that was. But if that answers your question, so it was kind of a script of basically like how I wanted to look. But then Sean, of course, Sean came in with the colors of it and everything, and made it more than what it was. And I love him for that. That's why I chose him. But the idea of the closet came from, so I'm scared of the dark. I still am, you know, yes, I just said my age. There's nothing wrong with kids. You could be scared of the dark until the day you die. I was always terrified of closets growing up. I always thought that they were, you know, they were, what do they call it? Portals to another evil dimension or whatever. And so when I was younger, I had these two double door closets, and you cannot, though there's no way to secure those at night so that they don't open. That's fun fact. So I would just stare from my bunk bed at the closet each night, and I promise you, one night it rattled like that, and I had a very loud imagination.
No.
Yes.
No.
So yes. So I decided to make my nightmares come to life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, you said it, and it's like, I remember there were elements of that you have shared before, but I think it's just so interesting to take a concept into its final form. And so like, it's very interesting that you say that, yes, it's almost like you have more of a shot list maybe.
Yeah.
And like, it takes a particular kind of talent to be able to trust that that's going to come out and become something worth people's time, right? And it's like, what, 2 minutes long, but it's really truly one of the most like interesting 2 minutes that I saw last year. I was like, oh my goodness, I have to watch it over and over again, like to the point of almost studying it, to be honest, because that kind of fueled something. It's probably after watching that I then got the idea of like, we can do this without dialogue, without any kind of words being placed in, and still be super entertaining. So kudos to you. Kudos to you. It was great. And kudos to Sean too, because that
he really took it and like just ran with it, you know. So I have to give him his proper credit that he needs, because I mean, it was a great film, you know, if I would have filmed it with anybody else, but he brought it to life on another level.
Yeah, speak about the power of collaboration. I don't know how people get it done on their own, not talking anyone who does, but there's truly something that does happen in the process and in the final cut, right? That goes, this really happened because of A, B, C, and D. All these people came together to make it. And that's what's important. But it is great that somebody like you, who's an actress first, can get into the other stuff, the writing, the producing, right? Because it was self-produced as well.
Yes.
Okay, well then, yeah, there we go, right? So there are elements that you can learn, and they come in handy when you are trying to break down walls and, you know, break out of a particular box. So now that we've discussed how you got into it, I do want to discuss how we met and kind of go into the project that we just worked on that is coming out tomorrow. Whenever y'all see this, it'll probably be tomorrow. So, I mean, it's out, I guess. But yeah, so we met in the auditions for Hindsight. And I should have looked at the notes for your audition, because I kind of knew at the moment that it was me, Stacey, and Michelle looking at you. There were some people who were like, yeah, automatic shoo-ins, and for sure you were one of them. I don't think your name was like tossed around like, do we want her? Like, it was like, no, she's got it, which is so mind-boggling to hear that people would try to contain you into a box. And I was actually talking about you earlier in a great way, saying that because you are 24, you have this kind of development and maturity that doesn't necessarily always work for the characters that they want you to play in. So it's like her, if you say she fits here, but the truth is she knows this, why would you keep her here when you can market all of this? You know, and I get it. The business is the business, but like there is so much more to do with talent. Anyways, let me bring it back. I remember watching you at the audition. I was like, yeah, she's in. Let's move on to the next, right? Like it was automatic. And then the thing about you is that when we were actually on set for Hindsight, I was really impressed with your attention to details. I've told you time and time again that the whole thing with the dominoes, there's a scene with dominoes. And in my head, right, first time director, don't really like know what I'm doing, right? Not really. But the thing is that I'm watching you and you have this level of like awareness and continuity that was so like it was just pieced together perfectly. So every time we reset the scene, we would reset the dominoes. I said, Simone, you have to do that. And it was still being done. And I was like, what the heck? Like that's just something that even I, as a director, am not cautious of. But in terms of entering the mindset of a character, you knew like there was this pattern, there was this flow. Like if you're gonna play such a strategic game, then there has to be strategy to the way that the dominoes are set up. And so it's like, goodness gracious. And I remember like from that moment, I was like, I like her. Like we like as a person, right? You weren't just perfect for the project, but you were just a good person to be around. And the way that you watch and take note and the feedback that you give throughout, like, you know, not just on that, but clearly having worked with you again since then, I'm like, yeah, no, she's definitely a force that we need to make room for her. Forget putting her into a box. We need to be making room. Like, and so no, I mean, you're absolutely talented and intelligent. And I always brag about you. There's something about Simone, so when it comes to like the actresses that I know that I'm like, yeah, there's nothing we can do to stop that. You might as well let her be what it is that she needs to be, right? But yeah, so then that brings us to Play Hard, Work Hard, which is another short film that we kind of threw out the script with that one as well. And so for context, I'm not going to share what Play Hard, Work Hard is about. If you want to know what it's about, you'll watch it. But there was one particular scene, which is Simone's scene. It's in the car. And I remember when we were rehearsing, her and Isaiah, I said, look, these are just, what's on the script is kind of like the guidelines to who your character is, right? These are not concrete. The dialogue is not concrete and we do not have to follow it. And so I remember getting in the car because I was operating sound while Sean, again, right? The cinematographer was outside of the car shooting it. And so I'm paying attention to the sound, but also as the director, I'm like, okay, we're waiting for the moments to happen. And one thing that was not in the script that, and I don't mind sharing this, one thing that was not in the script that we implemented in the scene was the whole like chips thing. So there's a box of food inside their chips. And so Isaiah's character brings her a box of chips and she grabs the chips. And I remember I gave no direction whatsoever. And it was so on purpose. And what happened was every take we did, the first couple of takes, it was like they were sticking to the dialogue. And I was like, y'all, low key, I don't like this dialogue. So let's change it, right? Like, let's just move on. And I think that like maybe it was a little uncomfortable at first. I know that when it comes to like scripts, like people are like, oh, you want to respect a writer's integrity. But in this case, I was like almost begging y'all to be like, no, please throw away those words. I don't want to hear them again. Whatever you do within the scene, now that you know the character and the circumstance and the stakes, do what you want and then we'll figure it out. And so you always accepted the chips. And then I was like, when is she going to open up those chips and eat them? When is she going to open up those chips and eat them? When is she? She didn't. And so I was like, so the very last take, I just knew it was going to be the last take because this is how much I believe in you and Isaiah, is that, you know, there was certain notes that were given, right? And I remember saying that, like, I'm not even worried about the camera because if I'm in the car and I can feel it, then I know that the camera is going to feel it. Like the audience will be able to see what it is that I feel. And, you know, we took about 5 minutes. I was like, it's 2:00 in the morning, but we're going to get the shot, right? We're going to get it. And I mean, I know you have you seen it? Did you watch it?
Yes.
You did. Yes. Okay. Right. So I don't know how you feel about it. But I remember when Sean was texting me about the first edit, he goes, "This is a masterpiece." I said, "Let me see what this is about," right? Because I refused. When we did the take and it was perfect, in my opinion, I was like, "That's it. What do I need to see on the camera? There's no way the camera didn't catch what I just felt in the car." And so I didn't see it up until Sean sent it to me, and I was like, "No, he's absolutely right. Like right here, moment. There is a moment, and it's like it's in the silence, it's in the dialogue, it's in the looks, and like it's all right there. And it's like that's what you beg for, like absolutely beg for when it comes to creating content. And so I'm gonna finish talking, wrap it up. I just want everyone to know that I was super excited as a director and writer to be in the atmosphere with these two talented individuals, and that is what they produce when they're look right here. It was improv. It was not scripted. I said throw away the script, and they did just that. So everything you see in that, it's actually two different takes, but most of it is the one take, the last take. All of that is solely on Isaiah and Simone. So in the moment where in that moment of trust, where things are like, oh my gosh, I just have to do anything. I just have to improv like anything. What was that like for you as the actress in this scene, and hit any and every element that you would like to?
Okay, so my ear has been like secretly itching this whole time. But it was very nerve-wracking. So as the type of actress that I am, I want to get as close to perfect as many times as I can with the things that I do, because I always want to be thought of, the next time I work with that person. Whenever I work on set, I'm always auditioning for the next set with that director or producer. So and you are very intimidating, Grace, by the way. I know we're friends, but like I'm still like, when it comes to working, I'm like, oh my God, just please, Lord, let me just get it right for Grace. So I was at first, when me and Isaiah were talking about it at offset, before we started filming, we were like, okay, we could do it this way, we could do it that way. And then we get in the car and we didn't do it the way that we the things we talked about. So I was just like, okay, so this is really, really fresh and new. And so I think at some point Isaiah was, and this could be totally wrong, but what I was getting from Isaiah was he wanted me to lead more at some points, because he had got his camera time inside, because he's so sweet. He got his camera time inside. He's the, the main star of it. So he was like, okay, this is gonna be about you, Simone. And I'm over here, like, he's the lead, let me build off of him and follow. And we were missing that connection at times, because me and Isaiah, this isn't the first project we worked on or the second. We always like to make sure we're connected before we get on camera. And this was the first time we weren't connected, or not even in camera, because we've done theater together. But so it was kind of like tough in the beginning, because when you gave me that prop of the chips, I was struggling with it to open it at first. So I was like, okay, you know what it sounds like when you try to open those Tupperwares, all this loud noise. And I was like, that's not good for the camera, so stop trying, Simone, And then there was another obstacle in the way, which you're gonna have to watch the film to see what that obstacle was, that was preventing me from having, being able to open it correctly. And so I was really like ready to throw my whole entire self away. And it was tricky with also trying to not go deeper into the struggle of what was going on. I'm trying not to give the script away, so if I sound crazy, y'all work with me. It was going deeper into the emotions. Like every time we did it with those lines that we had at first, it was really like just bringing us further and further and further down, to where before Isaiah even got in the car, I was already at the end of the script with like with that emotion. And you picked up on that. And I think it was kind of the same for him as well. But I always love the opportunity to play. And I've never played with improving like these type of emotions. So it's easier to improv, you know, comedy or romance for me personally, but something that was a little bit more on the not so a little, you know, it wasn't heavy, but it was just kind of like a, oh, you know, play hard, work hard.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, huh, you know, we're dealing with something life-changing and serious. And so it was definitely a challenge for me, but I think I really learned from it. Um, I I enjoyed it. I did. It was but definitely a big learning experience. Um, I kind of want to do more things like that, you know,
Oh,
of
snap.
I know, right? Because I just feel like it was such a challenge that really helped my acting skills and you know, being able to take someone else's work of where they had, oh, I want it to be like somewhere in this area, you know, and then saying throw out all the words, you know, and everything. You're like, oh, but how do I know what the area is? So you really have to learn the character. So I would love to do this again with somebody with more dialogue or more lines to really like dive into, you know, working on the fly with something, because I feel like for
Yeah.
this you really had to know your character in order to
Yeah.
improv like that. And of course I knew my character, but I feel like there was so much more. I mean, obviously there's always more to each character that you play, but you know, I'm ready for, you know, part two or something. You know, I was like ready for something like that, like, oh, where does this go, you know? But I
Oh,
feel like I just rambled a lot.
no, I mean, that's perfect. That's what I want to hear. Of course, like we haven't dug deep into exactly where it is or what happened that night, right? Even though I'm big
Mhm.
about the process, it was like, y'all, we were supposed to stop shooting 2 hours ago. People have work in the morning. Let me just get it out. Let them go, right? And so like it's 2 a.m. and people really probably have to be up at like 8 o'clock. And we haven't even left the set, right? We haven't finished packing up. And so there's only so much that we could have said in that moment, and we never really truly got to debrief. But I just somehow knew, like, as soon as we wrapped, I was so giddy. Y'all have no idea. I was like, I'm cheering from ear to ear because it was it. Like, there's really something about feeling that you've got it. And like, not even just
Mhm.
feeling it, like truly believing that you've got it. And I personally was happy. And I was like, I only hope that they felt happy with that as well. What I could tell was that absolutely right in the beginning, we weren't getting it. There was, I'm going to throw myself in there just because I was in the car, right? There was a disconnect because of what, I mean, it may just be what you brought in with you
Mhm.
from prior experiences. But what I really wanted was in the process to just pay attention to you trusting yourself, trusting the other actor, and trusting the character. So you, Simone, would have to trust you yourself that you could do it as Simone. And then you would have
Mhm.
to trust Isaiah that he could also like play his character. And as you said, he was watching out for you as well and saying that, you know, I've got my screen time, let me give it to Simone. For context, I made it very clear that we were going to follow the story and that it was going to be very authentic to the story. And so I had written it in a way that left room for it to really focus on Isaiah or really focus on Simone. And then whatever happened when we got into the moment and whatever it looked like on camera is what we were going to follow. So there was no true like this is how it's going to be. We need this moment recorded. Again, because I
Mhm.
knew we were going to improv. And so to trust him to give you that screen time and then to trust yourself and then to trust that you knew the character and that once you stepped into the character that you would just follow um how she would go. And truth be told, I mean, you and her, not to say that you're synonymous, but you are the only person who's played her. So in my head, I'm like, this character is whoever Simone says she is. Again, I've
Mhm.
written it, yes, I'm directing it, but if Simone says that she's crazy, then guess what? She's crazy. Like, and we'll just work with that. Because after doing it so many times, it's gonna get to the point of like, this feels comfortable and this feels right. Um,
Mhm.
and even more so, I was having a conversation this morning, and it's like, when you are what is known as acting, right? The truth is you're just truly becoming a character. And at some
Mhm.
point, what happens in a scene is just a set of reactions. And what I would refer to as intention. So we're debating whether or not that word intentions can be used. But literally, when you look at some text or when you look at a story that's been laid out, I think of it as I have a decision to make. I intend to do this to this character. And if that character responds the way that I'm thinking that they will, then great, I know the next move. That character does not respond how I'm thinking that they will, then guess what? We're in a situation where I now have to reprogram what happens, right? And so it's like trying to break the mold of I'm going to hit this at this moment and just being like, I want to see what happens when you actually think. I don't want you to pretend to think. I want you to think. And so that is what we were trying to get out of the performance. And like I said, executed wonderfully. I don't know, like, I can't remember or recall an experience on set that even comes close to that like level of trust. Like, it was huge. It felt magnificent. And to be in a car, right? I was like, oh my goodness. I wish I could scream it out because, you know, we got it. And so I'm happy to hear that for y'all, that it almost felt like we went through the same experience, right? We all began having to trust and throwing things away and picking new things up. And me go, I mean, I hope they get it. I trust that they will, right? Or else they wouldn't have been in the short film. But like, I hope in this moment that at 2 a.m. that they have enough energy to get it out. And so the story, like I've shared before, is just a really authentic one about the life of a server and what goes into it. And I think that with the two scenes that we have, right, there's a shot inside and there's a shot outside, and that's it. And so, I mean, you do with that with what you can. And I do agree. So maybe there should be a part two. I don't know. I've never thought about it. Maybe there should be a part two. And going into that would be interesting, because now I can see how it would go because of y'all, because of me. And I think that kind of creation, that kind of artistic process, that's what I've enjoyed the most. It was never just sitting in my room like, okay, that's gonna happen. That was cool, right? But like, the real success of this all was actually being able to be around you guys as you were doing your thing. And that was like, that's a moment that you keep with you. That is definitely a moment that you keep with you. And so thank you guys. I appreciate that, for real, for real. Because there's nothing I could have written to make that come out. That was just strictly y'all. So wow. I will say, after that, Simone, you definitely, I said it before that like, I hope you're booked and busy and that we can like never work with each other. But after this, you truly should be booked and busy. Like, I don't even see why I would even get like, you're gonna change your number and I'm be like, can I talk to Simone, please? She'd be like, who's that? Who's Grace? No.
That's funny. No. I've been thinking about changing my number, but you would definitely have it.
Thanks. I know that we are coming close on time. So before I get to the one question that I try to ask everyone, what have you carried with you, you know, since we've met? How do you feel like you've grown? Because I do want to bring it back to you. How do you feel like you've grown, or is there any like thing you want to mention, shout out, and then we'll get to the closing question, which is my favorite question.
Yeah. No. So we met in the pandemic, and I had basically just started my professional acting career. I think it was in November or October, and that was with Isaiah. We worked on a play together for a friend that I met that I knew in high school. And so, of course, I had taken acting classes before, but they were all just intro classes. But once I got to you, and this is no disrespect to any other directors that I've worked with, but once I got to you, it was different, because for some reason, it just seemed like you, as a director, was like, okay, in order to know my job, I need to know everyone else's job so that I can perform my job better. And so you actually interacted with us as cast members on, okay, what are you thinking? How do you want to go about this? You know, how do you think this character should look, dress, feel? You know, okay, now have room to play. Okay, now come back and tell me like what you're playing with. You know, you're very hands-on with it. And you do that so that you could get what you want out of it. On other sets, it's always like, okay, now do it. Okay, great. Now do it again. Okay, now great. Now do it again. Okay, everybody go home. And it's like, did you like it? Can I see it? No, I can't see it. Okay, fine. But with you, you don't show it to us, but you make us do it different type of ways. And that's what I really enjoy. Not saying that, I mean, as the actor, you should always perform it differently when you do act, just to give them multiple takes. But with you, it's more, I guess, precise on like what are the different ways that you're doing it. And you like to interact more. So that has helped me grow as an actor, because I'm able to understand, because directing is something I haven't tapped into, is when I do certain things, how does that come off on camera? Like, I can watch myself and see that, but it's different when a director is coming to you and saying, okay, do it this way because we're getting this on camera, or do it this way because I want to see what that is on camera. And then when we get it on camera, you go, okay, so it came off this way. I'm like, oh, really? That came off that way, So I just feel like it's given me the opportunity to actually like learn more than I can in class, and learn more from with you than I have on other sets, where they're not even paying attention to me, because I'm just a background extra, or I'm in it but I only have one line.
Yeah.
And so which I've actually used what we've done with this project. So I have another project coming up where I have maybe one or two lines, but they said, we want you to ad lib and play. And I'm like, oh, I got it now, baby. Hey. I just did that. So I have a sheet of paper that I'm writing down on, like, okay, what is my character? Why does she do what she does? What is her story before this? What is her story potentially after this? How is this character affected by the character she's interacting with? And then all of the background extra characters that are in it. How do they affect me? Who are they to me? Are they just background people, or do I know them? Do I look at them and make eye contact with them, or stuff like that? So I think that answers your question.
No, it does. And that's so interesting. And I appreciate that compliment. Because coming in so new, right? Like my introduction to, or I guess for me, like loving film happened early. It just never occurred to me that it was something I could do until 2020. And so for me, it's always about, I think there's two things that are happening for sure. It's one, I'm oblivious to what the industry is actually like. And I'm totally okay with that, because I think there are sets of rules that exist because it's just the norm and not necessary to the process. And so for me, that the process and the artist are probably the most important things. If I come in knowing that there is a particular vision that we need to achieve, I feel like that's on my shoulders. Like I need to get that. But an artist isn't there, an actress or an actor or just anyone else isn't there to think of the bigger picture. I feel like it's my responsibility to think of the bigger picture and translate it in a way that makes sense for the actor, so that it's a safe space where they can grow. And I've said this before, it's never made sense to me why somebody would be on your project and not feel like they've grown from it. And not saying that you're going to hit everyone, right? But the idea is that in developing this, it's like, I don't know, there's so much that you're trusting a director with as an actor and actress, that it's like, why wouldn't I take on the responsibility of making sure that you can see at least little bits of what's going on from my perspective, so that we can communicate in the most efficient and effective way for the story. So I'm serving the story, but I'm also serving you, and you're also serving the story. And I just feel like it's just this triangle, circle, whatever, that only makes sense if we all kind of care about each other. And I just, I don't think I can operate outside of people. It's never about the dollar signs. I've never made anything that made me money, but but it's not about the dollar signs, and it's not about the glory or praise that can come from it. It's about the story. It's about the story. So because I'm oblivious to other things, I don't do what other people do. I don't know what they're doing, and quite frankly, I don't care. But the one thing that I do care about is the actors. And so it's funny that you say that, because you said you have that thing coming up where they've given you 2 lines, but they do want you to improv. I remember David Harewood said that if anyone's ever seen Blood Diamond, he said he had, I think, 1 or 2 scenes in that entire movie. If you watch that movie, he does not have 1 or 2 scenes. That man is pivotal in that movie. It only came because he did his research, right? He received a pamphlet on the let me not butcher what. Anyways, the organization, the group, the militia that is treating people in the worst kind of way for these diamonds. He did the research on one of the pamphlets that he received that the actual group was using back in the day, and pretty much all this, like, I guess, kind of propaganda. And he said he just read it. He took the words, and the one scene he got was when he was like he's a camp leader or whatever, and he just started saying the words out loud. He's screaming like, RUF is for the people. RUF is for Sierra Leone. And I'm watching it and I'm going, that wasn't scripted? What kind of mistake was that? And so he said that after that, he did it. The director called cut, and they're like, what are you doing? He's like, yeah, just saying the words on the pamphlet. And they're like, okay, well, okay. And so they do it again, and he does it again. He's like, I'm going to get my screen time. And so then the director literally came to him after about 15 minutes of doing that and goes, you know what you're doing, and rewrote the script so that his character could be in more than one scene. And like I said, if you watch the movie, he's extremely pivotal. I mean, he's got like at least 5 more scenes after that. Yeah. And so I'm just like, that's what I
didn't know that
taking an opportunity looks like. I love that interview. It's in They've Gotta Have Us on Netflix, Simon Frederick's documentary. But it is probably one of like the most exciting stories, because I'm like, yes, take your shot. And know what best serves the story, because in my honest opinion, no disrespect to the writer director, but I feel like the movie would have fallen flat without those things that his character really built. A nemesis in that story that enhanced everything. It touched on every single plot. And so, yeah, I mean, do your thing. I hope that what we've done is helpful for you in the future. But just the artists in general, man, like, it takes a little bit of rebellion to really create the space for yourself when you know that it's not created for you. And so you, of course, want to be respectful and know where you're at, like, know what you are being asked to do. And you also want to know where the boundary is and what the lines you cannot cross. But if you know that you can push the line a little bit further back, so that one day your peers, or that one day those coming up behind you, will be able to push it even further until we end up in the spaces that we also rightly deserve to be. If one person's in it, then we should all have the opportunity to be in it. Then yeah, it's exciting. I'm excited for you. And I'm happy to share that. Yeah. Okay, so last question. Then I will for sure let you go. What is one thing that nobody has ever asked you that you wish they would?
That is a good, my face probably crazy. This. Just in life or within this industry?
Whatever you feel like has the most effect. Maybe preferably something that kind of goes into both. I think most people who are watching might be more interested in the industry, but you're a whole person, so please implement whatever it needs to be.
You know, oh dear. I don't know if it's a certain question, but I guess kind of like it's like, I mean, like, people. Okay, I'm gonna just say it. So nobody has ever really asked me what I want to do. It's always just them trying to tell me what I'm going to do or what I need to do. But no one's ever said, well, Simone, what do you want to do? How do you want to do it? If that makes sense. I mean, like, of course, you know, in like elementary school for career day, everybody asked, what do you want to be? You know, but they didn't care. And I'm gonna say they didn't care. And I'm like, you know, because they don't care, you know. But no one has like ever like seriously like respected me enough or taken me seriously enough to say, what do you want to do? And I feel like that's something that everybody always asks people, you know, like, oh, what do you want to do? You know, and no one's really ever asked me. And so I kind of, people are always just surprised when they see me doing something, because they're like, oh, well, hey, why are you doing that? And it's like, because that's what I want to do. Why don't you know this? You know, if you ever ask, you would know, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So let me then ask, because there are things that I know about you and things that I know that you like to do. I don't know if, you know, right? But what do you want to do? What do you want people to know that you want to do? Let me say that.
Well, one, I want people to know that I want to be an actress, and I more than just an actress. I would say more a respected artist, because I have my hands in so many pots, you know, and so I want to do that and be respected for it, and for people to take me seriously, you know, within this industry, and be the person that, like, okay, did you think about Simone for that? Like, let's go ask Simone if she wants to be a part of this project, whether it is from acting or producing or whatever, you know, just for people to be like, okay, we should look at Simone for this, you know.
Yeah.
And just in general in life, because there are other things that I want to do outside of acting, from different, you know, little small businesses that I want to own and stuff like that. Um, you know, from, well, I don't want to say them and then I not do them.
It's okay.
You
That's why I
know?
said what I want to share. Definitely don't put all your business out there if you don't want
Yeah.
to. It's absolutely okay.
But yeah, but I
Okay.
have my hands in other pots outside of the industry. You know, and I am trying to figure out how to do them, because no one knows that I want to do it. So I have nobody to go to. And then there's also just a lack of resources to help me do those things, you know, with the environment that we're in and the area that I'm in. I don't see people doing it themselves, you know, so.
Got
Yeah.
you. Got you. Let me say this, Simone. I definitely think that there's no reason as to why one day the world hears your name and doesn't think of it in a respected manner. Because if anyone is to work with you, I think that the very first thing that should come to mind is that I can trust Simone with this project no matter what she's doing. Because that's exactly how I feel. And I've never once ever, like, I mean, to the point where when we were doing the Keep It Short series and I had 4 short films, I sent you all 4 of them, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's like, look at it. Tell me what you want to do, because I trust you with any of these, right? And that's the kind of thing that I suspect will be coming to you in the future, because you have that drive, you have that talent, you have the range, you have the education, you're getting the experience. Like, it would make no sense for people to overlook you. And I think that, I say it time and time again, I think you are going to be the person who you want to be. And even more than that, I think you're going to be in positions that you may not have even thought of in the best way possible. I think that doors are going to open for you that people don't even know exist. And I think that you are quite literally a game changer. So,
You know, I'm bashful, Grace. But try to hold it together.
No, but you've got
Thank
it.
you.
You've got it. Yeah, for sure, for sure. I can imagine why. Like, I kid you not. I do think that there's gonna be a moment where it's like, how do we get in touch with Simone? Like, she doesn't even answer my DMs on Instagram anymore, type stuff. Like, I have to get to her assistant. Excuse me. So yeah, no, I think you're definitely. It's all part of the process, of course, and it's time that will guide us there. But I think that you are equipped with many gifts and many talents and many characteristics that are going to take you really far. And so,
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you.
I'm happy to have sat down with you and get to hear more about your experience. If you have not watched The Closet, Did I Get In, Play Hard, Work Hard, you can probably skip hindsight. It's okay. I've gotten to the point where it's like, it was my first try. It's okay. But if you want to, there's good messaging. There's definitely good messaging at some point, right?
It's a great short film. Everybody should see it.
Oh man, you're too kind. You're too kind. I've gotten to the point where I can actually admit that it's like, it's okay. It's just okay. and it's not on anyone, like as actors, it's more like you only know what effects happen from what you choose to do and when you do them. Like before that, I don't know what was going to happen. I could have wrote the word, I don't know, dot on a paper, and we would have ran with that, and I would still not know what the final result would look like. But now that we have, and now that we've had more opportunities to work together, and you have definitely created your stuff, I think that anyone who hasn't seen it should check it out. Probably start off with Bias, The Closet. I definitely think The Closet is just so intriguing. It's just so intriguing.
It is. I wish I had more money to like further develop that, because I have like other parts to it, you know. I'm like, oh, can't do that, Simone. You don't have money. You need money for that. I'm like, dang it, you're right. Let's rob a bank.
And so, stop, not a bank. Time out. Look, y'all, she robs a bank. I ain't got nothing to do with it. But if people are listening and they want to donate to the Simone Haines Foundation Fund, whatever, please do. She's on Instagram. Go ahead, actually plug yourself, Simone.
Yes, so my Instagram is Simone_so. Do I need to spell that, or is that pretty? People spell my name wrong all the time, so I'm gonna just say it. So that's SIMONE_SOSO.
Perfect. And that is the way that people can find you on the web. Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Okay,
I don't have a website yet.
Hey, but it's coming. Because like I said,
I just need to stop being lazy. Honestly,
not
it's
lazy.
Really because I'm lazy. No, it's the only thing I'm lazy about is the website.
Well, we'll be waiting. We'll definitely be waiting for that. But in the meantime, like I said, go watch her other stuff. Go check out her Instagram. Don't forget to check out Art of Grace as well. And Simone, I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.